Good day, folks. This is activity W2P3, and the plan is to create this assembly ignoring all dimensions. And of course, there are many ways of doing these problems. So here's my uh, 1 cent on this issue. All right. So first of all, we are in the product, and immediately I save this thing. So file, save management, save as. Let me see, where am I here on my desktop? And I'm going to make a folder here. So my desktop, make a folder called activity um, W2P3. All right, everything is going to go in that folder. I'm going to insert the frame first. So insert new part in there. Okay, I'm going to call this thing the frame, properties frame, and frame. And the reason I do it like this when it comes to making the model is I want to make my job easier later on for assembly. Double click on that horizontal plane. I will sketch, and notice that I'm very meticulous on choosing uh, to make a rectangle so that the center of the rectangle lies on the horizontal axis. Look, the other ways of doing this thing, you just have to, you know, just do it the way you want. So exit. How about padding it? Just a little bit more, maybe 40. Roughly looking like that. Now on that plane, oh, okay, so let me see what I have here. I have these fillet edges, no problem. So on that edge, I'll put a fillet to make it look good so that it looks like what I have in the model. So let me see now. This is 5, so let me make this thing maybe 15. See how it looks like? Yeah, something like that. And same thing on this side. Okay, there we are. Now on that top plane, I will sketch. I will draw another centered rectangle. You see why I'm doing this thing, because I want to create these cutouts on the top. So another centered rectangle, just to make my job easier. Okay, and one on the other side, also centered, just to make my job easier. Exit, exit, and pocket it all the way to the end. Fine. And then what I want is these cutouts here. Okay, so on that plane, I will sketch. Why don't I do something like this? So, uh, okay, one on this side, another one on that side. No problem, we'll fix it. Okay, I just want this thing to be vertical. Right click, you can do right click vertical, or you can select this and go there and say vertical. Either way. Okay, exit. Make another pocket all the way to the end. So basically, you have this frame that looks something like pretty much this. Okay. Now let's go ahead and do the front axle. So front wheel. So right click, insert, new part. Always say no. I always say no. Read it, please. Properties. I'll say front wheels. front wheel, in this case, front wheel. Let's go make it. So I double click on this, on that vertical plane to make my job easier. I draw. Okay, how about I don't know, maybe I just want to look at this thing for a second. Yeah, okay. I want to draw a circle. This is going to be kind of my shaft. We'll clean it up in a minute. Going to be the shaft, and then there's going to be yeah. Okay, I make okay. That's good. That's good. Exit, and then pad it, and I do mirror extend so it goes in both directions symmetrically. Maybe a little bit. Let me see how it looks like. All right, that's fine. Maybe a little bit more so you can see it better. 25. Okay. And then on that same vertical plane, sketch another circle, which is actually going to be my wheel later on. This is going to be the actual circle. I may have to make this thing a little bit longer. Make these two concentric with each other. This guy control that and make it concentric. Oops, hang in there. This circle control that circle. Concentric. Okay. Exit. Pad it. Mirror extent. But not that much, maybe 10. Let's see how it looks like. I'll make it 8. Okay. Now, obviously I have to make this thing a little bit longer or move this opening to the left, but I'll make that thing longer. So let me see where that thing was. It was in the first pocket, double click. Yeah. So let me move this thing like that. I probably need to do the same thing on this side. Exit. Okay, that's more respectable. I still have to assemble it. Right now, I'm just making these things. Okay, so I'll go all the way to the top, insert, new part, say no. I'm going to call it rear wheel, properties, rear wheel. Same thing down here. Okay, double click on it. I'll do the same routine. On that plane, I will sketch. First, I do a little circle here for the shaft. Okay, exit, mirror extend, 25. Then on that same vertical plane, we'll sketch another circle. Now, I may want these two to be the same, and we can arrange that later on by putting a dimension here so that they make it the same. But anyway, this circle control that circle. You make it concentric. Exit. Okay. Exit, and then pad it. Mirror extend. I think I made this thing 8. Did I not? Can be whatever you want. Okay, a couple of things. First of all, let me go and make put a dimension there. Uh, yeah, put a dimension here. Uh, well, right now, uh, Just leave it the way it is, actually. Just let me not worry about it. These are different size wheels. Okay, no problem. So all the way to the top. And notice there's also the ground here. So let me insert or insert a new part. No, I'll call it ground. Ground. All right, let's go make it. It's just a box. So on that vertical plane, I will sketch. Here is the ground. There. Exit. And then pad it. Sure, let's make it 40. I'll make it mirror extend. Okay, good. So this is the ground. Now, there are no assembly constraints here, so we go all the way to the top. First of all, let's click on the floppy to save everything. All right. Now let's separate these things. We can fix the ground to begin with. Here's the constraints toolbar, and there's the anchor. We grounded the ground, anchored the ground, and we can move these other guys. My way of doing it is by I like manipulate or move toolbar. So for example, let me do it like this. Here. Notice that there are no constraints here. Why don't we first go ahead and insert these axles in there? So we have coincidence. Notice I was very careful about drawing these things in mirror extent. So for example, the middle axis, well, actually, let me do this. We're going to do the coincidence between the axis of this front wheel and the axis of this here, the axis of this opening. Okay. Now, if I do that, it lines it up, but probably not. There's nothing to update because all I did was to translate this thing. No problem. And now we're going to do coincidence between the middle plane of this. That's why I was very careful about drawing these things symmetrically. And I can't remember which one are we doing. Are we doing the front one, right? So it'll be, why is that? Okay. And then notice that it got, it came to the right spot. Okay. Assembly constraints. And then another coincidence between this axis and that axis, and coincidence between the middle plane of this frame, which is, yep, that one, XZ, you can see that, XZ, and the middle plane of this rear wheel. Okay, good. And notice that when I separate these things, let's do that. For example, like that, like this, like that, and update, something weird will happen. You see that? This is upside down. So the moral story is that if you do a lot of gigantic rotations or manipulate, when you update, it'll go back, but not necessarily to what you expected it. So here, that's easy to fix. For example, I can say, all right, let me go ahead and move this thing, rotate this thing by 360 degrees. So for example, this is rotation about that axis. And now update, it looks a lot better. Okay. So now I want to bring this thing and put it on the ground. Okay. So the question is, how do we do this? This is all screwed up the way it is. So here's what I'm going to do. First of all, I make this surface flush with that. So coincidence between this plane and that plane so that they're flush. See that? Now they're flush. Very good. Now the question is, how do I bring it down? Now this other guy, yeah, how do I bring it down? And to bring it down, what you do is use contact between this plane and that plane, or that surface and that surface. Now there are two options. One is external, the other one internal. Well, obviously this is not what I want, so make it external, and then we say, okay, see this? You have to bring this other guy down too. Well, first of all, let's move this thing. Can I move these things first of all? Or let's move it. Uh, we go to manipulate. Now make sure you put this checkbox. You check this box, and then you say, okay, I'm going to translate stuff in the direction X. Look what happened. The whole thing is going to move. The whole thing. Okay. And when you're done, say okay. Now you can bring this thing down and put it on the ground. How? With contact. Contact between this and that, and then we say okay. All right, very good. Now it is true that these circles are not kind of same size and everything. That's why it looks like tilted, which is fine, no problem. Now let's go ahead and see whether our constraint. If we move everything apart, let's try it. So, but not by gigantic amounts, so that things go back roughly in the same spot. So let me do this thing. Let me uncheck that first of all. Okay, when I update, they'll go back. Now, the other thing that you should know is that if I go to this manipulate and make this checkbox, check this box, and say, okay, let me translate this in the direction X. This means that respect all the constraints. So translate. Look at what happens. This whole thing moves. Okay. Can I rotate? Can I rotate about this axis? See that rotates about this axis. Yeah. Okay. Very good. And then we say, okay. So we're good. This was that activity. Good luck. Oh, don't forget to save. Let's also check, make sure it's in the right spot. So I go here. I go here, and there was a folder. I created activity right here. Activity on my desktop, W2P3. The product is there. Everything else is there. Okay. Good luck.